That sign is for the hotel. The Boar's Head. Clementine was right. She pulled off the road and the car bounced along the country lane, the small wheels of the Nissan Micra not quite up to the task. The signs were easy to follow now she had found them, and soon they were driving up to an old stone building and around the back into a large car park, narrowly missing hitting a woman in the purple waxed coat pruning the shrubs at the front of the hotel. The wind whipping around Margery's head was very distracting as they clambered out of the car, and she felt glad she had remembered to pack her good raincoat. The sky above did not look promising at all. It was much too dark for a summer's afternoon. The clouds had knitted together to become one, threatening to spill at any moment. Still, Margery couldn't help but feel a sudden burst of excitement, even as another gust of wind slammed the door shut. 2 blissful weeks on holiday with her wife. Lucky them. They wouldn't let a bit of rain dampen their spirits, or the hen party and wedding food they'd been roped into organising for their deputy head, Rose Smith. Next week, Margery's entire team of Education Centre nourishment consultants, who all preferred to be called dinner ladies, except Clementine, who enjoyed the awkward stumbling nature of their full title, were going to join them from Dewstowe. Together, they were going to throw Rose a lovely afternoon tea in the garden of her holiday home nearby, with crisps, cake, and all sorts of other suitable accoutrements. Then, 2 days later, she was going to marry Mr. Barrow, Somerview Secondary School's headmaster and their boss, in the nearby church, before returning to her garden for a seated wedding breakfast in the marquee. If the weather ever calmed down, that was. Margery had never seen Rose's house or grounds, but their fellow dinner lady, Gloria, who had, assured her that both were big enough for all invited. "We're quite high up here, aren't we?" Clementine shouted over the wind as they stared over the fields that started at the back of the car park. They ran on and on as far as the eye could see. Right at the end, if she squinted, Margery thought she might be able to imagine that the line of dark blue on the horizon was the sea. From the Google Maps search she had attempted before their journey, she knew that St. Martin's-on-the-Water was quite literally on the water, but the little village had no beach. Instead, it was set over a few miles of sharp cliffs, looking over at the little seaside town of Merrowpool. Margery took a deep breath in, enjoying the clean, fresh air as it billowed around her. Neither woman had ever been here before, but they had heard nothing but good things about St. Martin's-on-the-Water from Rose, who had returned every summer since she had been a child. Margery couldn't wait to explore the tiny village, and possibly even drive over to Merrowpool Beach tomorrow, though the weather forecast was still not looking fantastic. She took one more deep breath, and then turned and walked to the car to help Clementine take their things inside. A relaxing afternoon was most certainly in order after all that driving. "Well," Clementine said, with more than a hint of trepidation in her voice as she stepped up to the counter and rang the bell, "I'm sure it'll be fine for a few nights. We'll go out during the day anyway." Margery put down her bag and surveyed the reception. It had seemed okay online. The price was absurdly cheap, even for a budget hotel, especially as it included breakfast. She realized now that the photographs on the website must have been very old indeed. The wooden panels lining the hall were a bit cracked, and the curtains were musty, and the layer of dust on all the furniture in the dark, cramped reception was particularly jarring. Margery wished briefly that they could just put their things back in the car and head home, but she knew Rose would be livid if they did. Hopefully, they could get a few good rest days in before Rose demanded their presence for the organisation of her hen do. Margery wished that she had decided to do what most second-time brides do and have a small and meaningful affair, but it was not to be. Every time Rose talked about it, the event seemed to grow larger and larger. It had really begun to stress Margery out when they had still been at work, and she had all her kitchen manager duties to perform as well as Rose's long list of demands for buffets and ice sculptures. Now that they were on holiday time, it was less overwhelming, although she had still filled 3 A4 notepads with Rose's catering demands. Seren, another of